Hi guys, having reconnection problem. Okay, so many technical difficulties. Hopefully this goes well. Bismillah. I'm Sarah, and today we are trying to catch up with the technical difficulties we were having earlier. We were connecting with a special guest, my friend Nida, who was joining me. She is my co-host on a podcast we are working on together called Masala Muslima, Faith Flavored Living, where we try to talk about insightful things and activities. And there is Nida. So this is like what, take five?
This is take five.
How things
You
go?
know, we'll do as many takes as we need to
Yeah.
get the good vibes out
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, but right now, like the kids are coming out,
Oh
so
yeah.
they might be, yeah. So
Let's
you'll
do
you'll
it.
hear them in the background, but we'll keep them out of it.
Okay.
I think just for the sake of a quick recap, let's quickly talk about, what we're planning to do today, who you are, and just do a quick thing. So tell us a little bit about
Oh,
you, and we don't.
okay.
It's just something simple.
Yeah, sure. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Nida. I am a master's student studying with Rochester Institute of Technology, with my focus on human-computer interactions, and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, minor in communications. I love and am fascinated by anything and all things related to people. So I'm just so excited to be working with Sada, like on this live, on future projects, inshallah, that you all will should be really excited for. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Nida, for that wonderful introduction. So, in today's Transcendent Talk episode, one of the things that Nida and we wanted to come and do our Masala Muslima take on it, and explore the insights is on the recent Blue Origin trip to, not exactly quite space, but just on the outer sphere of space. And we wanted to. Just talk a little bit about, the women that went on this all-female trip, which should be really exciting. However, it looks like people are getting caught up in the backlash. There's just so much backlash about this private trip to the space. And so we want to explore that, and the psychology that we see behind it, and the insights that we think should be talked about instead. And maybe, if time permits, just touch a little bit on why people are, reacting the way that they are in some ways. So with that being said, Nida, do you want to take over the list of, the women that have been in the on the trip?
Yes, absolutely. So we have Aisha Bo, we have Amanda Nguyen, Carrie Flynn, Lauren Sanchez, and last but not least, Katy Perry, who are all just incredible, remarkable women who have gone through like just such difficult feats to get to where they are today. And we can start off with, Aisha Bo, who's a
Yeah.
former NASA rocket scientist with degrees in aerospace and space systems engineering. She's the founder and CEO of STEM Board and Lingo, which are these companies that are focused on STEM and education. And she's the first.
Okay, I think you're back. The sound cut off. I think you're muted, Nida. So I don't know if it's me or you, but I will continue talking about Aisha Bo while you get reconnected with the sound. Um, so going from what Nida was saying with Aisha Bo, just basically like an amazing woman, already has space experience. She was I believe, an aerospace engineer as well, and she's from Bahamas. So the first person, and also the first woman from the Bahamas to go out into space. Nida, can you hear me okay? Yeah, but you are muted. I think your sound got muted. Your microphone. And I think we might just have to do our old-fashioned like podcast way. This is just not working, so maybe we can do it when we get home, inshallah. But I'm just gonna keep going. And so if you want to like hop off and then hop on, I'll let you come in again. Maybe that will help. And then, so while Nida is coming back, I'm gonna move on to, or talk a little bit about more Miss, Dr. Aisha Bao. She, we're getting a lot of this information from online. You can find them on Wikipedia, Google, blueorigin.com is where we're looking at their credentials right now because it's just so nicely summarized. But we spent a little time looking them up. And then, so what, Dr. Bo did, she took also postcards from students around the world and is going to be doing research experiments on plant biology, human physiology. So, the growth of science in here is becoming privatized. And that is the course for many, many things in science and progress. And so, next thing, sorry, kids are in the background. Next thing is the next, aeronaut. Oh, okay. Yes, I don't see you, Nida. Hang tight. Let me see if I can add you. Send invite. So I've sent you an invite. See if you receive it. The next, tourist or the space venture in the list is Amanda Nguyen. And Amanda Nguyen she's a research scientist, and especially a bioastronautics research scientist. She graduated from Harvard, guys. That's pretty impressive. She's really smart, and she did research at Harvard for astrophysics, MIT. She was involved with NASA. She actually used to work at NASA, I believe. No. Yeah, she did work in NASA's shuttle mission. So she worked in that part, but her journey was interrupted by sexual abuse. She is a sexual violence survivor, and after that, she became, a proponent, an advocate for sexual abuse survivors. The rights for them, and for this she was actually nominated for Nobel Prize. She didn't win it, but she actually succeeded in pushing for legislations that passed in our government for for safety of women and more of sexual violence, protection and rights, because right now it's so limited. If you are a victim of sexual violence, one, you don't have adequate support, mental support, and then the legal process is also just so all over the place. And so what Ms. Nguyen has done is really a big push for some correction of the social injustice and lack of support that we have. And she's from Vietnam, so one of her cute things that I saw was that when she was in space, she was speaking in Vietnamese and she was saying hi. So welcome back, Nida. We were
We've
just
figured
talking
it out.
about, yes, Amanda and Nguyen. I
Yeah.
can look into the thing. So let's. I was just saying about how she is so smart. She went to Harvard. She went to MIT. Worked with MIT, and her sexual violence history and the advocacy work that she's been doing. She was actually a Nobel Peace Prize candidate as well. So that's amazing. So that's another like amazing accomplishment and feat for the progress of science.
And I
Do you want to
believe,
add something?
yeah, sorry to cut in, but I believe she also drafted the Sexual Assault Survivors Rights Act, which Congress unanimously passed, which is incredible. This is somebody who has done so much amazing work for people who desperately like needed the help, the assistance to get back on their feet, to heal from the difficulties that they've experienced. Somebody who very much, I believe, deserves to be on the crew that went into space.
Yeah, and talking about her, I mean, I think I'm glad that you brought up the name of that act. I couldn't remember, but yes, I did mention that she was an advocate for that. And then I think the next one I want to bring up then is Carrie Ann Flynn. She is actually a movie director at this time, and her focus is looking at the history of women in the history of Hollywood, the career that they had to go through. And she's also a woman of color, so it's amazing. No, actually, she's not a woman of color. I was thinking about Gail King. But the fact that she was looking at the movies, like she created movies like Lily, and then the movie was about fair pay advocate Lily Ledbetter. And before that, she did a movie on This Changes Everything, and that was the one that was exploring the history of women in Hollywood. So even though she has a history of career in fashion and human resources, she has been channeling her energy and her platform to leverage the benefit, shed light on the struggles of women as well. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think you highlighted everything like beautifully, Sarah. I think just the other thing is that she herself has been like a longtime space enthusiast and has even signed up for the Virgin Galactic Kite in 2011. So this isn't somebody who's not familiar in the space by any means. This is somebody who um has done their work, done their research, and is remarkable in their own way and has contributed towards the needs of the crew.
Yeah. And beautifully summarized there, Nida. I think with that, let's talk about the next amazing woman in the crew. Who do you want to talk about next? I want to
It's
save Katy Perry for the
the
end because I think
last,
that needs
yeah.
to
I had
segue into
the
the
same
next
idea.
description. So who do you want to talk about next?
Let's did we do Lauren Sanchez?
I want to do her second to last. So I
Okay.
guess Gail King is the only
Yeah,
one
Gail
left.
King.
Do you want to talk about Gail King?
Gail King. Um I'll have you like start off.
Okay, so
Mm.
Gail King is an award-winning journalist, right?
Mhm.
And she has been on many broadcasts across America. A very common face. If you go on her resume, she is a co-host of CBS Mornings, editor at large for Oprah Daily. I mean, Oprah is like the woman that everybody knows of. And then she is an interviewer, like you know. Let's see, she's honored to be part of Blue Origin's first all-female flight team. And also, I think to me it's inspiring that she's a woman of color and she's doing this in America. I feel proud because of that.
Absolutely. That it's it's just really inspiring, like as a woman of color myself too. And of course we've had like so many incredible women and notable women of color who have gone into space, but it it's even more incredible seeing this person, these women just, I think, transcending
Yeah.
their limits.
Earth's limits,
And
transcending gravity.
like
Right?
I we kind of see these diverse backgrounds
Yeah.
of knowledge, space enthusiasts and people with like remarkable achievements and accomplishments. And for me, like I just, it feels almost like empowering and exciting to see that this could be something accessible to like
Yeah.
all of us someday.
Yeah. And I just love how diverse the group was. I mean, it wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
Gail King. I think 4 out of the 6 women, they are, of just diversity, subhanallah. And so with that, going from Gail King, a journalist, I think it's a great time to take a few minutes to talk about Lauren Sanchez, who is in the news and media, not because of her amazing accomplishments as journalist and a New York bestseller of a book, somebody who has transcended personal struggles of dyslexia to earn her own fame in her own rights of being an award-winning journalist. We know her currently as the girlfriend of Jeff Bezos, one of the billionaires in the world, and the founder of Amazon. And yeah, before even she met Jeff, she already was established, and she has her accolades. With that, I'll share the space with you. What do you want to add to her?
Um, I think that you summarized it.
I think we lost you, Nida. Okay. So Nida, if you get a chance to come back on, I'll bring you back in. I really wish you were here for the next one. Is for Katy Perry. I think this is the one that has made it the most controversial. Okay, you're back, and the audio is gone again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. All
Okay,
right.
we're
Yes,
good.
go ahead. Hmm.
Okay. You were saying.
I was saying, do you want to talk about Lauren Sanchez, or should we
Oh
move
yeah,
to Katy?
let's talk about Lauren
Okay,
Sanchez,
go
definitely.
ahead.
So Emmy Award winning journalist, former news anchor. She's a licensed pilot, and is the founder of Black Ops Aviation, which is the first female owned aerial film production company. How incredible is that? Oh my goodness. And she actually curated the NS-31 mission, with just that incredible emphasis on like storytelling, diverse representation, like in space exploration. Um, she is just, I keep repeating the word, but just a remarkable person. And I think she,
Nida, we lost you again. While you're connecting again, that reminded me that she's also, in charge of, what is it, Bezos for the World, or one of her organizations. Maybe you have the title. You're back. We lost your microphone. We lost your sound. I think you need to hit unmute. There you go.
okay,
And maybe stay in one space. Don't run around.
okay,
Just stay
okay.
in one space.
uh, okay,
Yeah, keep going.
okay, yeah, I,
The last thing we heard is that
yes,
just on her own accomplishment, she did the Black Ops. She curated the NS-31 mission
yes.
crew. So
She curated the NS-31 mission. Um, is somebody who obviously like has experience in like aviation technology, and is very much an expert in her own right, who is very much qualified for this type of mission, who is ready to inspire like lots of young women to follow into STEM, to kind of be this like person, to sort of show that she wants people, even I'm sure like everyday regular people, to go down this path of um like empowerment. And wait, I'm so sorry, I'm just,
no worries.
yeah,
Take your time. Yeah.
yeah.
No, and while the internet had dropped you, I was remembering something as you were recounting, is that at this time she's part of the nonprofit called Bezos for the World or something, and this is a nonprofit, obviously Bezos a nonprofit, that is for protecting the environment, and what is it like, and the weather and the space. So that was one of the things I read, and so that's really huge. That's not just doing something, but doing something with a mission,
Mm,
channeling all her energy and her resources, her platform, leveraging those to benefit not just people in many ways, well, inspiring like girls and whatnot, but also taking care of the earth where we live. Yeah. So I find that very inspiring when you choose to focus on that. However, with that brings us to the last crew who I think has probably garnered the most controversy is Katy Perry.
mhm,
She is a very established artist, multiple award winners, one of the um, what is it like one of the most famous pop stars of our times, and lots of her songs have really hit the top charts several times, um, and what do you call it, and her journey, I think nobody has faced as much backlash as Katy Perry. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let you talk about her first, and then I will chime in.
I have always been a big Katy Perry fan, admittedly, since I was just somebody in middle school. I think um, she has one of my favorite songs of her was Roar. And also another one of my favorites was, oh my God, I'm
Or
sorry. I'm forgetting all,
how about
all
how
her
about the fireworks one? You don't like the fireworks one?
fireworks, yes.
It's so catchy, right?
Yes. Um, look, she is a remarkable, talented artist who, like Sara said, has had many, many songs on the top charts, Grammy nominated pop star who has always used her platform with an emphasis on women's empowerment and also like empowerment for women in STEM as well.
Mhm.
So she's the first major pop singer to travel to space, singing "What a Wonderful World."
Oh
Um,
wow.
she is also somebody who, although like the headlines are criticizing her, you know, in a way that I don't fully get or understand. But she definitely is somebody who has always just taught people to like go beyond your limits, transcend, to chase your dreams, to think big. If you reach for the stars, then you'll get to the moon. She has always had that incredible vision and vibe for herself, regardless of the criticism that she's faced. And I I'm a huge fan of hers. And yeah, that's my notes on Katy Perry.
Yeah, my personal notes. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but I enjoy her work. I think she's a
Yeah.
very talented artist. She is very creative. She knows how to entertain, and that's the industry that she's in, right? So I think she knows how to use um, fulfill the needs and the criteria of holding the audience's attention while delivering what the audience is looking for, whether it is something positive or negative, as proven by current things. But like one of my first passions, my first love in life was MacGyver. I wanted to marry MacGyver. My second love in life was space. I wanted to be an astronaut. And so for the longest time as a kid, I was a space enthusiast. I knew where all the stars and the goodness, I'm just blanking, shows how much time has lapsed since I was a little kid, right? um, so anything to do with space, whenever I see someone is going in and it looks really sensational, it catches my attention. And so we have we definitely what do you call it, it, so when I saw this happen, like this was going, and the first one that caught my eye was actually Miss Nguyen's. Her uh, posts were showing up to me, and she was talking about how she's going into space to do research on, things like menstruation pads for women in space, because oftentimes, until recently, even NASA didn't know what to do with women. They wouldn't send women to space, and if they did, they sent like 50 years worth of tampons or something with one of
Yeah.
the astronauts, female astronauts that
Yep.
went. Um, instead of so many other things that could have been done. And then I saw Katy Perry's videos where she's up floating in space and she's holding up a daisy, and then she comes down on ground and she's kissing the ground. And I'm seeing like so many mockeries of that.
Mhm.
And I just felt really bad about it. And then when I was reading more about the daisy thing, I mean, do you know what the daisy, like why she took the daisy, like what she said about it?
Yeah, I believe it was to commemorate her daughter named Daisy,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, which when I first read and heard about that, I thought that was so sweet.
yeah.
That she wanted to just make that
She wanted
like
to take a piece
yes.
of her most beloved person.
Yeah, and she's like, this, I'm doing this, not just for others, but for my most beloved. And like, imagine being Katy Perry's daughter, like Daisy, and your mom is already like this super cool person, amazing international
Yeah,
pop
it's probably
sensation.
just mom to her.
Yeah.
You know?
but like I'm sure she looks up at her and she's like, oh my god, my mom like went to space, like my mom's cooler than your mom, you know. um but it's just such a beautiful tribute, I think. And it's really disheartening to see people just mocking it online as taking like a pure moment and just and doubting it
You know,
is.
it's very interesting that you say that, because I feel like I mean, you're a psychologist. Maybe you'll enjoy this a lot more.
Mhm.
Is I feel like when she holds up the daisy, like the expression on her face is not of like a superstar who is just, you know, who we idolize and we think they're so different than us. They're so grand and diva, you know, attitude, etc. But I feel like when she was holding that daisy and the look on her face, the smile on her face, it was like that of you know, a woman experiencing something out of this world for the first time, and literally out of this world for the first time. um, you know, a privilege and that childlike curiosity and excitement, and I could see love in her face. And I didn't know about her daughter Daisy at that time, but I was so touched by the like she looked so real, like her emotions were so real. It wasn't like just makeup and
Mhm.
you know, in the songs, the attitude that she brings of confidence and stuff. I just felt like I got to see a glimpse of a woman, a real side of her. And that really, really touched me. Did you get a chance to analyze that?
um Honestly, I didn't really see the pictures, but I can just imagine like the, you know, I'm just thinking like from Katy Perry's point of view. Like if I was a mother, you know, what's something that I would want to portray to like my daughter? What's a tribute that I would make to her? What's something that I want her to carry in her mind and her heart, like as she just grows older. And in that moment, I think Katy Perry was thinking that, like, you know, pop stars we enjoy their talent, we enjoy their art, but we don't respect them as people. And I think in that moment, Katy Perry had this really maybe empowering moment of like, you know, I'm a pop star. I'm somebody who's gone to space. I don't have to just be this one thing. I don't have to be put in this box that people are trying to put me in. And that's something that I would want my daughter to take away. You know, if I was in her shoes, that like, you know, don't worry or don't care about what anybody thinks. Like you want to go to space, then it absolutely can happen. And to me, like that's just so inspiring in the sense that I'm also like a little bit of an astronomy nerd. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, and I wanted to go to space and see the stars and the moon. And then as you know, as we grow older, we see the difficult terrains and the paths that you have to go down in order for that to happen. And although I have tremendous respect for the many astronauts who have put so much work into the process that it takes to go into space, it always made me a little bit sad that something like seeing space was just not accessible to somebody like me. And I think, like, although yes, there are criticisms of space tourism, I think that this can really open the conversation to how can we make this more accessible for all types of people. And you know, going back to the original like case of like Katy Perry's daughter Daisy, like that's what she will like absorb. That's what she will see. And that's something that we should really take inspiration from. We should see the situation through Daisy's eyes, in my opinion.
And I couldn't stop seeing it from actually Katy Perry's eyes.
Mm.
I felt like those videos of her, they're just so vulnerable, so real. The astonishment, the amazement. I feel like at that point she stopped being a pop star, and she ended up becoming a representative for all of us in many
Mm-hmm.
ways. And she mentioned another thing about the daisy is that she chose to take the daisy as well, in addition to it being to be a commemoration of her daughter and memento of her, is also that a daisy is a flower that is very resilient. It grows anywhere. And
Oh.
so she wanted to take a sense of that us humans, us women, we are capable of growing anywhere. No matter what the challenge is, hope is going to bloom, etc. And so there was a really deep message behind that. And when she came down and she was kissing the ground, I mean, when she asked what was she feeling, she said she just felt love. And putting all these things together and drawing from my desire to once upon a time go into space, and exactly the thing you mentioned, that people like me can't go. I can't go for NASA because even if I had all other qualifications,
Mm-hmm.
I'm too short. I can't go. Like, they have a height criteria, right? for
Yep.
for those like procedural things. It's only for the fittest and the best of mankind to go. But now we are entering a phase where, as much as we love our earth and we need to take care of it, I'm sure the appreciation for this beautiful blue planet increases when you're looking at it from like all the way out there. And that and you have transcended the barriers of atmosphere and you're just floating in space. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what that can feel like. I mean, and when you see like their lives, like the little clips of what they were doing when they were on zero gravity, they were scared. Some of them were scared. They were just like holding on to the little railing. Um, but that was the message that I chose to look at and get out of it. That we are now entering a phase where, over time, um, space tourism is coming. It's not just for the exceptional human beings amongst us. It's that now the average short people might have a chance to go out into space, and especially women,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I'm going to now segue into some of the complaints that I saw. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that and what would be the better way to appreciate this instance as. So I saw things like all these billionaires, instead of solving world hunger, they are wasting their money in going to space.
Mm.
I saw that.
Yep.
And it just, I'm going to let you start and then I'll talk about what my thoughts were.
Um, I think it's really interesting, as I'm seeing people kind of make comments that, what you just touched on with the billionaires, because I think that there are other people who have other celebrities who have gone into space. For example, William Shatner, famously known as, Captain James Kirk from Star Trek. And the reception for that was widely positive. And we also had Michael Strahan, who was actually part of Blue Origin's like first full 6-person crew, and he's a former NFL star, now TV personality. And to see all these criticisms of, oh, the rich and wealthy, uh, billionaires, the celebrities, if they can pool their money to help the world, like, yes, absolutely, they should. I personally think, though, the outpouring of criticism and anger is misdirected, at the situation, and it is, um, potentially just symptoms of greater problems that our society is facing. So everything is not just surface level. It's not everybody, it's not really the situation that everybody's outraged at. It's what is like underneath. And I think what's, potentially underneath is there has been this growing resentment towards celebrity culture in general. And I think there's also just this general suspicion of the messaging versus the motive. So people are touting this as not as like a front for feminist empowerment, when the reality is that it's just a glamorized PR stunt for the rich and wealthy, and the things that they are able to do because of the wealth and the resources and connections that they have. I think, one of the reasons we went so much in depth about talking about these women is because they're not just some frou-frou, like, random people that people keep saying are not like qualified or accomplished. As we've talked about, many of them are quite qualified and accomplished. um and
I
I
think
think
all
it,
of them are.
yeah,
I wouldn't say many of them are. Like all of them are in their areas of expertise.
absolutely. Like, I think I was more thinking in terms of like aerospace
Space
engineering,
travel.
like space, yeah, space travel, exactly. But absolutely, I think all of them, as I've mentioned before, are qualified to be on the crew, because I think all of them have a history and a track record of just helping, empowering people, and like you said, using their platform as a form for of good and education, and for innovation, for boundary pushing. um so I think it's disheartening to see people like not celebrating their fellow human beings, and especially women like us, like not uplifting, other women and the feats and the accomplishments that they have like overcome. And yeah.
I love it. I love it. I so 100% agree with everything you said. And the stuff that I would add to it is going
Hmm.
back to like billionaires solving food problem. Majority of the food starvation isn't just a money problem, it's policy problem. You
Hmm.
know, hunger is used as a weapon of war. If we look at what's happening in Gaza, you know, the blockades of allowing any entry of food, aid, medicine, those are not because the money is not there. We are pouring and donating so much into trying to stand next to the victims in Gaza, and wherever there is a catastrophe happening, the money is going there. We're trying to pour and send. So it's the policies, and what is it that we choose to fight for, and what do we choose to ignore. So in this case, we're fighting over, are these women qualified to go into space, and ignoring that you can be accomplished in certain area, and no matter what your bank account looks like, no matter what your net worth is, what are you putting back into doing it? And these women, they're all involved in some sort of giving back to humanity in ways that matter to them and is, close to their hearts. And so I think instead of looking at them and asking the question, like, I see that you have done something amazing. I wish I could do it. How do I do what you did so I can go out there? I can become a billionaire. I can go out in space and end world hunger. That is a question we could easily be asking, right? If somebody has figured out a way to become successful, the onus is on us to figure out if we want to take that path or we want to modify it. All of our paths are ours to choose. How do we choose to become rich? Or if we choose to stay poor, then how much more can we contribute to the ending of world hunger? I was also doing a little research on how much does it actually cost to go to space through NASA versus if, how much was the Blue Origin, how are they doing it? So apparently for the private tourism, it can cost about $30 million is what it said to go through like Bezos' program. However, if you like, NASA spends like about $300 million to send an astronaut into space. And of course, they're going for a longer period of time doing further research. And that's not something everybody wants to do, just like not everybody wants to go to college or be a doctor. But you can still be someone accomplished in your own field, even if you are a stay at home mom. right? And that was the next thing that, one of the things you were saying about women uplifting women is like, like when I was seeing the stories of these women, I felt like I was living through them. Once again, going back to Katy Perry's thing of being a mom up there remembering her daughter, that's something like I would probably want to do, take a little piece of my kids with me, maybe a piece of their hair or whatever that reminds me of them. And I could feel the love of a mom over there. So instead of choosing to focus on the commonalities, we choose to feed the
Mm,
divisiveness. And that allows the other, ill intentioned um, facilities to take advantage of that because it's easier to conquer when you're divided. And so looking at the backlash on the media, oh my gosh, against Katy Perry, like Wendy's is saying nasty things about her. There are skits happening everywhere about all the things she did instead of just really pausing and appreciating that women did it. And this type of backlash didn't happen when men did it. And they were also, in the same category. They also have their own accomplishments, as you
mhm,
said. You mentioned William Shatner and the other NFL player that went. Nobody said anything about them.
nothing.
It's just, yeah, it's the entertainment industry. All they can do is gossip. And what we're doing is we're feeding them the money. And they're not going to end world hunger,
Mm,
right? So yeah. So what is it? Maybe let's segue to like, why is it that people are feeling so frustrated that, you know, the money is being wasted? Like, what is the real emotions behind these accusations? Because I think people are just what's called displacing their inner insecurities on something easy, on an easy target, which happens to be some of the celebrities on board.
mm, yeah. I I think that I think there are a lot of things economically happening that are genuinely are making things difficult for people. People are struggling paying their rent. Understandably, inflation has made the price of essentials like groceries go up exponentially. People feel like there isn't much opportunity, maybe as there used to be, and I think financially people are struggling, and they're kind of like you said, like with that economic struggle, and then with like maybe some already underlying insecurities, like, and the stress of the situation can absolutely exacerbate those feelings, and then people just want to maybe just take their rage out online, and sometimes it's just wrong place, wrong time. And I think the timing of this, to us, an incredible event just has triggered people because of the the stress and the lack of support that they feel from their own systems that they were taught to just, that they were taught to see as reliable, whereas we're seeing that many things are changing, perhaps for the worse. But I truly believe, as a Muslim, that we have to just lean on tawakkul. We have to lean on our strengths and our capabilities and ourselves as, and on each other as a collective. That, what you said before about too many people are leaning into the decisiveness of the matter, and that is further dividing us unnecessarily as a collective. When we realize the strengths and the talents that we have been blessed with, we can absolutely seize and multiply like little or even big opportunities that come our way to potentially put us and even others in better circumstances.
I think that was so wonderfully summarized. I don't have any more psychoanalysis to do on that. Rather, it's more like maybe a call to action. It's really real that the things that we're going through at home, internationally, at the end of the day, it feels like there's not much power in our hand, and that we're not able to, enjoy even the basic necessities. And so it seems like what's happening out there is extravagant. But, looking back at history, like a lot of major social services came about in times of situations like this. Like I remember, like in high school when we were studying about the wars, I think it was during the Cold War that highway systems were developed in the US,
Mm.
and then the internet came about, the World Wide Web came about also as a means for maintaining secure communication. I think was it World War II or Cold War? Somebody can fact check me on that. But, like we went from having computers the size of a room to, devices we can hold in our hand because there was a need for uh, um, human progression of humans. And so this is a huge step forward for us, I think. And if we think that we want to do something about the basic necessities, instead of wasting our energy on complaining about somebody else, energy would be better spent figuring out how did they achieve the success that they did, and then which of those steps are in alignment with your values as a human being, right? So obviously the people that are complaining about world hunger feel bad about people dying from hunger. So that's an important value to them, that nobody goes hungry. So how can you become that type of person who can contribute towards that movement? Because it's not going to happen without money. It's not going to happen without um, activism also. So you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, not just um, desensitize yourself, which is constant entertainment consumerism, which is kind of how this is spiraling out of control. I mean, this publicity is going to be great for the people who are hopping in. Like Wendy's sales are going to go up because they're chiming in on this. Saturday Night Live is always doing great skits. So, you know, it is what it is with Saturday Night Live. I think I'm gonna give them a pass, and maybe the Daily Show as well. They can keep being as sarcastic as they want. They make great pieces. Keisha's sales are gonna go up because she's as a rival of Katy Perry, she's gonna monetize that. So any publicity for these people are they're gonna figure out how to monetize it. But what are you really losing by taking part in this? Your time, your energy.
Mm.
And time is so much more precious than money. Money comes and goes. Time is just a one-way street, right? So, so these are the limits. You know, the crew of Blue Origins, they had to transcend the limits of gravity. We have to learn to transcend the limits of each other. When we are women, I really wish we can, one of the hopes I have for this episode is that if people have a chance to listen to it, they can learn to appreciate that, you know, whatever you want for yourself, you need to start supporting other people who are doing it in any way whatsoever. Even if you don't support the everything that person does, just support that part that is in alignment with you, because it just empowers you. And so, yeah, that would be my call to action. What would you like to tell the audience as we wrap up?
Um, First of all, beautifully said. That was spectacular. Um, I think that it, I know that times are tough, tensions and emotion is high. I want, if our talk was helpful to anybody today, um, please see our words as um, something to trigger action within yourself that you have been wanting to do. And I've seen it so many times where I've met incredible people, incredible women who literally oftentimes the things holding us back from doing the things we want to do is just ourselves. And thinking that we can't do it, I'm not smart enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not charismatic enough, whatever. I'm going to give an example. For me, this, working with Sada, like, has been absolutely amazing. this talking on Facebook Live, working on a podcast, all of it is new to me. And the limits I had for myself were like, oh, I'm not a great speaker. I'm too nervous on camera. And yeah, that absolutely in many cases has been the case where maybe I don't say things as eloquently. But you know what? I'm doing it. And I will have little failures and I'll have little wins. And I will learn from my failures and I will learn from my wins. And I'm just going to keep doing it and I'm going to keep going because I have full faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is my purpose. This is my mission to use my voice to inspire people to like go after what they want, to be the best version of themselves. Don't look at anybody else as other than inspiration to be the best version of yourself. So that's what I would love for all you beautiful people to take away.
So beautiful, so beautiful. And so, just to summarize today's Transcendent talk, we talked about the amazing crew members who went to space on a private trip, basically. And we looked at, the accolades that they have accomplished to be where they are. And even though they're coming from different, diverse backgrounds, professionally, ethnically, and whatnot, they have definitely done something amazing to advance the mankind's or womankind's journey towards success. We talked about how instead of focusing on what's the word I'm looking for? Focusing on what is not working because you don't have it, but you want it. Instead of giving into that envy, instead of giving into that jealousy, and projecting the insecurities on somebody else, so it's justified for you to not transcend and for you not to get uncomfortable and grow. Embrace it. See how they have accomplished the things that you wish to do and figure out which one of those steps are in alignment with your values, right? And then figure out how to pursue it. Instead of putting somebody else down, lift yourself up, because remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the highest levels, and the only way to get there is to transcend the gravity in yourself. So, with that, dear audience, thank you so much for joining me and Nida for this Transcendent Talk episode today. And Nida, thank you so much for sharing your Saturday morning with all the tech difficulties today.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Uh we just last minute were like, yeah, let's hop on Facebook Live and we're gonna do it and talk about this. And
yeah,
alhamdulillah, we did it. So I'm so like proud of us as a team. And may Allah send our message to um the people whose hearts like need this the most, inshallah.
Amen.
Amin.
Amen. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.